So I'm Tom Mikkelsen. I'm the President and Scientific Director here at the Ontario Brain Institute. We're in the business of improving brain health. So we build a collaborative research network across the province, which involves researchers, clinicians, companies, and patients and their advocates together, and overall to the goal of improving the life of folks dealing with neurologic and brain disorders. We've brought together 42 different institutions, some 240 neuroscience researchers towards brain disorders. We share data, and we have serviced a number of research programs in neurologic disorders spanning the lifespan. Everything from the neurodevelopmental disorders, these include the autism spectrum, ADHD, and others, treatment refractory epilepsy, cerebral palsy, treatment refractory depression, and the dementias, including disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. So our whole theme is science done differently towards sort of clinical use. So our brain disorder researchers, in fact, are compelled to share the data, but to share common data. So we have them gather data the same way, whether it's an Alzheimer's patient or whether it's a cerebral palsy patient, anywhere in the province. This idea of standardization allows a group effort to make the population numbers much more meaningful and informative in the research sphere. So BrainCode, which is our data platform, is an open source system in order to allow this type of data sharing. It also is privacy compliant but open at the same time, and this allows the data on these series of different neurologic disorder type patients be compared, contrasted, analyzed, and evaluated. The idea is to accelerate also other open source use by other qualified investigators. So for example, we've just recently had our first open data release where we're actually able to release data to the larger research community. This particular data set comes from a very detailed series of brain scans on animal models of autism. And the idea is to allow investigators all around the world to be able to identify how genes influence brain growth, and through that identify a greater understanding of the autism disorders and ideally new therapies. So our data platform has been recognized for its innovation. So many other institutions and programs across Ontario, elsewhere in Canada, and even as far away as Australia have expressed an interest in actually using the platform. A major institution here in town, the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, has actually used BrainCode as the backbone of their new Krembil Centre for Neuroinformatics. The OBI's role in supporting innovative new companies is in order to develop new tools and treatments in that care delivery environment. Our organizations right now have 65 new companies that have been nucleated out of this program's efforts. This includes 45 new early stage entrepreneurs. This is the support of 11 new products that are coming out of slightly more mature companies, and the commercialization of 9 brand new therapeutic areas. So we're building new technologies that are going to help people in that care delivery environment. One example, of course, is Winterlight Labs. This is a very interesting company who's bringing tools of artificial intelligence and machine learning, looking at voice print analysis as a measure of the thinking process, cognition, and how it might be involved in both the diagnosis and tracking of patients with Alzheimer's disease. As a publicly supported organization, we've got an important mandate to share science. This is to the public, to policymakers in government, and also to patients, so that everyone kind of recognizes and benefits from the increased understanding that we're generating in the research arena. So we've hosted 12 public talks, for example, and these range from autism to dementia. We've organized public education events, and I think we've seen over 15,000 people attend these. We have 160 videos that are raising awareness online, and they've been seen more than 50,000 times by folks all around the world. We partner, in addition, with the government itself, with the Ontario government, on key policy initiatives. So, for example, we're heavily involved in the Ontario Dementia Strategy, bringing data to inform that, the First Nations engagement strategies, especially in mental health, and improving how epilepsy care is delivered in the larger care community. And this is the idea of bringing research and bringing it out to the care delivery environment. Well, we've got a lean and hardworking staff, and we and our partners, we've already accomplished an incredible amount. In the next phase, we're going to double down on this by bringing the research out to the patient care delivery community with interfaces towards primary care. We want to build this learning healthcare system, as we've talked about, a data-driven approach to policy and care delivery. And by doing this, we think we can further engage primary care networks and the patient advocacy community. This is basically taking new learning that comes from research and deploying it into clinical care. And from that, then these advances can basically touch everyone's care. We're going to expand the activities of Brain Code because the new areas of data science are just beginning to be shown in their value, and we're a perfect venue in which for that to happen. We're going to link with other databases, as we're already doing across the country and around the world. We're going to increase our support of Ontario-based companies. We're going to put this Ontario neurotech sector on the map. And we're going to further engage with the patient community to basically bring the good news that we're bringing from research into clinical care so they can all benefit from this investment that we've made both in resources and also the efforts of the whole Ontario neuroscience community. The idea is to deploy these research advances not so much in the sort of academic environment, but out where patients receive the vast majority of their care. It's all data-driven though, which means we have to deploy information, we have to track data, we have to gather new data, and then measure whether we're having that impact that we intended. And that's what we call that learning healthcare system. Whether that innovation is a medication, whether it's a device, whether it's a software app, or whether it's a process or policy, we can measure the impact of that tangibly and impact what we see as the specific outcomes in tangible medical care, and outcomes which relate to quality of life and productivity and all of that. That's what all this is about.